So I just recently saw a review of an anime that was kind of very bad. It was made by this guy named Noah Boakoa, and don't send any hate to this guy if you think that this anime is great and all that kinds of stuff. It's just his opinion on it and how he feels about the anime, so there's no point in giving him hate. But this review was just so bad. Hey, Freddy. Open up my anime list. Why are you asking these questions? I said, open up my anime list. Okay. I'll make sure to open it up. You see, you gave this anime a 6 out of 10. So why are you trying to defend this anime? Well, Freddy, I'll give you the biggest reason why I'm making a video about this. It's because this anime isn't as bad as this guy says it is. And honestly, his video has a lot of really bad points, and I really need to talk about them. Like, is it an actual legitimate need, or is it more so a want? Definitely a want. Okay, at least you're honest. Talk about this as much as you like. Thank you, Freddy. Now, back to what I wanted to be talking about. This video was just kind of hard to make because it's not necessarily a well thought out critique of the anime, it's more of a rant. He would start on a point and then he would just go to the next point without giving any real explanation about why or how it's bad with his last point. So he would just go from point to point with it with no real big explanations. So it gave the video no real structure in it all. But luckily I was able to pin down some of the points that he was making, which are the important ones. And there's only like 2 points I agree with within the whole thing. So I'll start off with the points I agree with, and then basically everything else, from the smaller points to the bigger points that he's trying to make about why it's bad. Quote, why it's bad. So let's get into that. There are kind of only 2 things I agree with within his video, and that's the shit with Masa's sister and the first debate. So the shit with Masa's sister isn't dog shit, but it's not great. It does get kind of stale after a while, and it is kind of weird and creepy and very odd in some moments. I don't hate her. It's just their relationship just gets kind of off. It's just kind of off, and I don't know how to feel about it. That's all I have to say about that, though. And the first debate, yeah, it is kind of dumb. Like, I couldn't give less of a shit about that first debate because it doesn't add anything to the story aside from getting, both of those two a part of their merry band of wanting a student council, I guess. Yeah, that's the only 2 things I agree with there. Now it's time for the rest of the dumb shit. So he starts off the video by just explaining the plot and who Masachika and Alya is, and also adding some colored commentary by calling Masachika pretentious and Alya stupid.
Masa is every rom-com protag ever. Just as horny, just as pretentious, just as much of a little dickhead, just as much of a bitch.
But then he just guts off that and starts ranting about tropes for no fucking reason at all.
Even aside this show is filled to the brim with terrible, horrible, no good, very bad tropes.
I don't know what to tell you, man, but tropes are a part of stories whether you like it or not. Not a lot you can really do about tropes. And it's not like complaining about a story having tropes is gonna automatically make it better, and it isn't a smart critique either. Because almost every story has a trope in it whether you like it or not. He also makes a weird point about the story, saying that the characters have a very big lack of communication.
You know, I think the this show might have the worst communication I've seen, worse than even Toradora. This show has its lack of communication at its most extreme. Literally everything within the show could be solved if they talked like normal people. They just have to say, hey, by the way, I also speak Russian. They can say, hey, Suo is my sister. I'm not porking my sister. They have so many options, but they conveniently take the most cataclysmic and straight nonsensical path. Masa especially makes everything worse the longer he acts ignorant, and by now, yeah, I have to agree, he can't back out. But in the beginning, he could have just revealed that he can speak Russian. Not to mention, if that was the case, they can get together, and I know Masa's horny ass wants this.
And then he also says that it's even worse than Toradora. And I was kind of confused on this. He said, especially Toradora. So I watched his Toradora video, and apparently he liked it at first. He loved it, he thought it was great. But then he rewatched it and noticed that it was kind of not great. And I was wondering, how is Toradora not great? It's a great story, honestly. It's a really well written one. And then I started hearing the main crux of why he thinks it's not as good as he says he is. He says that the reason why Toradora isn't that great is because the characters do not talk through their feelings properly. They don't communicate. There's a lack of communication. Excuse me, Hira. Say what? So, you're mad that the characters aren't communicating properly when the whole point of the story within Toradora is the fact that these characters, who are teenagers by the way, within high school, don't know how to communicate their feelings properly. Which is why a lot of the drama within the story happens. It's the whole point of the goddamn story. And you're saying that it's bad because of that, because the story is deliberately writing the scenarios to be this way, and it writes it in a really nice, compelling way. And yet you say that the story is bad because of that? In the end, the characters do start to communicate properly about what they want and who they want to be with, but the whole point of the story is the fact that these characters cannot communicate properly, and once they do start communicating properly, it shows development. So that's just a very bad critique of a story to begin with. And saying the same thing for Alya, when in the title says Alya hides her feelings in Russian, should automatically tell you what the story is going to be about. The whole story is about the fact that Alya hides her feelings in Russian and can't express herself properly. That's the whole point of the story. And how does a lack of communication make it bad? In the end, once they start developing more, they're gonna know what they want, and then they're gonna communicate their feelings forwardly and what they want. That's the whole point of a story, is to see characters change and develop. Or what would them communicating do anything for the story? It wouldn't make the story more interesting. If anything, it'd make it more boring. If Mazuchika just went up to Alya right now and was just like, oh hey, I know what you're saying in Russian, what would that add to the story? Honestly, what would that add to the story? That wouldn't add anything to the story. If anything, it'd make it less interesting. Because it's the fact that he does know what she's saying, he just doesn't want to believe that what she's saying is actually true, and it's just her teasing. It's just a really bad point to make, because the lack of communication is the whole point of the story. And then once they start developing more, that's when they start communicating properly. So it makes no sense for them to be able to communicate properly now compared to when they could be communicating properly and be developed enough to be communicating like the way you want them to. It's just a really bad point to make about a story. And then another weird point that he makes is about the end debate, which is between Masa's sister and Alya and all that kinds of stuff. So I don't understand what he finds so dumb about it. He calls Masa's speech generic, but doesn't necessarily explain what makes it generic. He just says
Suo's is the most generic shit ever,
and then doesn't give explanations about why it's that. And then when it's Alya's turn to go up,
she of course starts speaking in Russian, and of course it was planned from the start just so they could at least, just so the people in the crowd could see them as candidates and have a nice introduction of them all, to do stuff in the debate. But he saw what Alya did, speaking in Russian to everybody, was just stupid. Doesn't really give an explanation about why it's stupid, he just said it was stupid. But if there was a reason, he said that they could have done anything else aside from do that. And what else did you want them to do aside from the ones you said that they should have done? Like, what else? Because number one, it fits Alya's character, and they already planned it from the start. So what else did you want them to do? Because from what I see, there was nothing bad about it. You were just kind of nitpicking that. Now it's time for the big point about him with the characters, which is mostly with Masachika and Alya, and the way he feels about the characters. Well, I feel like the lack of feeling for the characters, because he doesn't explain why he thinks the characters are bad. For a big example, Masachika. He thinks Masachika is, and I quote,
Masa is every rom-com protag ever. Just as horny, just as pretentious, just as much of a little dickhead, just as much of a bitch, but it honestly doesn't matter how bad of a character and person he really is.
Yeah, he thinks he's pretentious, and I don't know where he got that from, but Masachika is not pretentious. What about Masachika is pretentious? Do you even know what the meaning of pretentious is? Because guess what? Masachika ain't no pretentious. He actually can back up what he's saying and how he acts. So what about him is pretentious now, and what makes him a bad person too? He's willing to help out people if he can, fully willing to do that. What things does he do to make him a bad person? Yes, he's a weirdo and fucking does weird shit sometimes, but that's about it. There's nothing about Masachika that is pretentious, nor is he a bad person. Not only that, you haven't really necessarily explained your points about why he's pretentious and everything else that you said he was. You just kinda said that he was that, without giving any real big explanation about it. So how is he pretentious now? How is he everything else you said? Now it's time for Alya, and this also goes into the point about how he feels about the concept. So the concept of this anime isn't bad at all. It's honestly really cute concept. It's fun to watch in the anime, but this guy thinks it's absolutely stupid because he thinks that nobody does things like this in real life. IRL, in fact, that people don't say their feelings behind a wall of words that people don't understand, in a foreign language, if you will. Something that is foreign to other people, and he thinks that people don't do that in IRL. Buddy, let me tell you something, people in fact do that. Like, people will try to speak in their foreign language if they want to. There will be people who will know English but are from different parts of the world, but they will speak their native language if they feel like they were wronged by something or whatever. Like, people do that in real life, my bro. Like, I don't know who you hang out with or what kind of people you hang out with, but people do that in real life. Like, I had Spanish teachers whose rooms were right next to each other, and every time they saw each other to talk about anything, they would speak in Spanish. Yeah, they did that, like, all the time. Every time they saw each other, spoken in Spanish. Didn't care, didn't matter. All they did was just spoke in Spanish every time they saw each other. So, how do people not do this in real life now? Like, people will do that in real life. I don't understand how you don't think people won't do that in real life. Also, he says Alya is stupid, and the one point he goes to show that she's stupid is the fact that she couldn't handle that one scene where she had to, like, settle a debate between two sports clubs, in fact. And how and what way does that make Alya stupid? She was stressed out by that situation. And as we can clearly see, she can't handle situations like that, especially with how, like, non-emotionally mature she is, that she can't handle that. And of course, fucking Masachika's gonna step in because he actually knows how to handle situations like that because he has experience from it in middle school. So it's just like, what factor makes her stupid for that? Like, I don't understand what makes Alya stupid in that situation. And you don't even explain what makes her stupid in that situation. Neither. It's just the fact that you say that she's stupid for that and for crying in a situation that was stressful to her. What else do you expect to happen in that situation for her? For her to just completely just be like, oh, I can do this. It's my time. I am him. I could do this. Like, I don't understand what you wanted to happen out of that situation. So yeah, that review was just kind of bad. There were some other things that he tried making points about, but those were just not really needed to, like, you know, be stated. He tries comparing Iono Koji to Masa. Yeah, he does try doing that. And the final points of his video I don't really care about because it's just him comparing a backstory to another anime and talking about whatever the fuck he's talking about, and it doesn't really matter in the end. But yeah, the video wasn't really all that great, to be honest. It just was filled with a bunch of nitpicks and no real explanations about why or how things are bad. But I just felt like I had to make this video because I don't want anybody watching that video and honest to God, like, changing their mind off of this one video. But the anime honestly wasn't as bad as he was framing it as, so I just wanted to give a little bit of a defense for it. And even though I thought it was a 6 out of 10, it wasn't that bad. I actually enjoyed it a little. I just thought it was fine though. But I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe. That'd be really cool of y'all. And I'll talk to y'all later. See ya!